Kitchen opened directly into the dining room, which was connected to the living room. The door between the dining room and the living room was shut. My parents had hung a Christmas wreath on it. It looked a lot less festive in the dark. For a long moment I just stared at the door, willing the sound to go away. But then the world doesn't work like that. I learned that lesson well that night. Eventually I had to make a decision. I could go upstairs and go back to sleep, or I could buck up and see what was making that noise. I wanted so badly to just go back to bed, but I knew that I couldn't. Maybe it was just mom and dad in the house. Maybe then I would have gone to wake them up. All I could think of was Ethan and how it was my job as the older brother to protect him. I crept across the kitchen for the dining room and ended up staring at the door. The sound was louder over there. It took me a few more minutes to work up the courage to open the door. I told myself that it would be like ripping off a band-aid. Opening the door would be the worst part, and then everything after that would be okay. Isn't it funny? Not really, I guess. I opened the door. My whole life ended in a moment. My parents were on the floor, their bodies twisted and crumpled together. They looked like they'd been flayed alive, their skin hanging in ribbons off their bodies. The air was so thick with blood, you could taste it in the back of their mouth. My parents on that floor, and I couldn't tell where one body started and the other body began. Ripped, pulled, flayed apart. But I didn't get much time to look at them because a thin wheezing sound caught my attention. I dragged my ears over to the tree. The source of the sound, that deep rumbling, was somewhere in the background. But it was no longer a priority at this point, as you can imagine. No, that wheezing noise was somehow more pressing, and it only took a few seconds to figure out why. Ethan, in the tree. Brave. Keep breathing. I'll get through this. Ethan was in the tree, as in his head, and one of his arms was sticking out of the branches. The rest of the body was somewhere deep in the thickness of the monstrosity. The wheezing sounds were the pitiful attempts he was making to keep breathing. I wouldn't learn till much later that such sounds are referred to as death rattling. I shrieked and ran towards him, stumbling over a bloody hand. I still don't know who it was. Ethan was being pulled further and further into the tree, his eyes glazed over with a thick kind of haze. I desperately wanted him to look at me, but he seemed incapable of doing so. Oh God. Oh God. Oh Jesus Christ. He didn't hear me. I grabbed his arm and yanked. I was his big brother. I was his hero. I was going to get him out of the tree, and somehow everything would be okay. The wheezing sound got worse as I struggled. It felt like he was tied to the tree. That's how strong its grip was. But I was determined. I knew I could do it. Eventually I pulled him free, and we stumbled back together. I fell hard on my ass, clutching my baby brother to my chest, elated that I had saved him. Except that I had only saved half of him. His body ended up about the waist. Thin shreds of flesh and muscle hanging down in strings. His intestines were hanging out too. At least, what was left of them. It almost looked like God. It almost looked like the tree had eaten them. I tried talking to him. Then I remembered thinking that I could still fix it. Hey, Ethan. Hey, wake up, please. Even, come on, wake up. It's Christmas. You can't go away on Christmas. He never even heard me. He was basically dead already, although it took a few more moments for his heart to actually stop beating. I sat there in the middle of the living room, my parents bleeding into the carpet behind me, my dead baby brother twitching in my arms. I sat there and I looked at the Christmas tree, and I listened to the deep rumbling sound, the sound of something pulling in and pushing out. The tree shook a little with it, its pine needles quivering in time. It was the sound of the tree breathing. Usually this is the part where I tell you that I blacked out and don't remember a thing. That the police found me the next morning rocking my baby brother back and forth and singing Christmas carols, and I only know about that because you told me about it over and over and over. Well, here's something new for you to analyze. I remember every goddamn second of that night. That night that never seemed to end. I spent it staring at the tree in abject terror, knowingly for certainty that it would come for me, knowing that it would eat me alive, too, just as it had done to my brother, knowing that its needles had sharpened and hardened when we weren't paying attention, and that they had been used to flay my parents apart. The tree swayed and shivered throughout the night, and I just knew that at some point it would bend over and reach out for me and sweep me into the maw that was hidden somewhere deep in the branches. Except it didn't. Eventually the quivering stopped, the breathing stopped. The tree was still a stone, but for the trickles of blood still falling from its needles. It was only a few moments later that the police came through the door and found me sitting there. Our neighbors had called the cops. I must have screamed at some point during our standoff, or several points. It didn't matter. They came and they found me and they took me away, and now I'm here. But that you already know. So that's it. There you go. You made me write it out, and now you can share it with your colleagues and laugh at me. I know you do. I can hear the laughter in their voices at my expense. You know what the worst part about being stuck here is? It's not being treated like I'm crazy. I don't give two shits about that. It's the fact that you've deprived me of everything that has to do with my family, and you don't even care. I don't have pictures of them. I don't have any of their belongings. I don't even know what you did with the house. Is it still empty? I wonder. Will anyone dare buy it? I never found out what present Ethan opened up that night. The night before. I think about that a lot. What was his last toy was. You don't tell me what the police found during your investigation. Not that it matters, because I know what happened. But do they? Maybe they think I did it. Maybe that's why you're keeping me here. In the end, though, it doesn't matter. My life ended that night. Do you even understand that? It was over the moment I opened that door. I opened the door to eternal night, one that I can never escape. You bastards are enjoying watching me suffer in it. Merry fucking Christmas.